What's happening, guys? So we are live on the I Love Jeet Kune fan page. We got Sifu Dwight Woods with me. He came all the way from Miami, Florida to Arizona to do this for us, so it's really cool. Thank you so much for being here, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So we're gonna be diving in. There's a few videos online that have been circulating. I'll let Sifu kind of dive into it, but there's some freaking controversy if you haven't been able to tell by the title, right? The title hopefully made you want to click and check this out. So Sifu, what kind of stuff did you see online that, you know, there's some videos out there?
Yeah, so the main thing that we're talking about is this guy, Steven Crowder, from, he's got a show. Mostly he does like political satire or political comedy or commentary. And I actually watch his show from time to time. And I've found it interesting up until a couple of days ago, because see, most people have seen his own Louder with Crowder YouTube video, where I think the title, I really don't want to give him any publicity, but yeah, it is what it is. It's debunked, you know, Bruce Lee, 3 myths debunked or whatever, which is fine,
right?
Except that the approach that he uses, it's almost as if he's saying that Bruce Lee is the originator of these 3 myths, right? About whether or not he was the strong, you know, pound for pound, strongest man in the world, a great fighter, the father of MMA or whatever.
Right.
And Bruce Lee never set himself up as any of that. But the thing is, that's the video that most people have seen. What really ticks me off is I saw before that video, I didn't even see that video. I saw him on another show that I pay attention to on the Daily Wire, Andrew Klavan's show, because Crowder was a guest on Klavan's show. And it's on Klavan's show. I'm going to do my own separate rebuttal video. I'll show Crowder's clip and I'll show his clip on Klavan's show. But it's on Klavan's show that he says, and if I remember correctly, he says, one, that Bruce Lee was a weakling, that he was a compulsive liar, that he never fought a day in his life or what have you. All right, and I get a big look, and you'll hear me talk about this in the video that I do. Crowder seems to have been drinking at the trough of what I call, if it's not BJJ/MMA, it's not real.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, it's like, look, if you train Shotokan karate, if you train anything other than BJJ or MMA, somehow you are, and I've heard other people do the same thing. There was another guy on Joe Rogan's show, a guy named Peter Boghossian. He did something similar, right? And this is a guy who's known for critical thinking. If you are known for critical, see this, but this is the thing, right? This is where JKD people are head and shoulders, true JKD people are head and shoulders above others. Now, that, when I say head and shoulders, I'm not saying JKD people are superior in human beings than others, even though there's something to that. Let me try to be clear on what I'm saying. Here's how I'll explain it. Jeet Kune originated out of Bruce Lee's search for truth in martial art training. I think I was in there, but I can tell you how it happened to me. The same thing, that's what led me to Bruce Lee. But then applying the philosophy of Jeet Kune, I ended up searching for truth in all those things which are of interest or importance to me, right? So like we've talked about before, if politics is important to someone, if religion is important to someone, spirituality is important to someone, internet marketing is important to someone, anything. The search for truth, right? See, when you go out, when you search for the truth of what works and what does not work, you are applying the Jeet Kune philosophy or the concept of Jeet Kune. You see?
Yeah.
So when Steven Crowder talks smack about Bruce Lee, it showed, and Peter.
Why would you do that, Steven?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Why would you do that?
I think it's because he's dabbled, or maybe he trains intently in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it's this idea, because I think he said something about, like on Clavin's show, he was given a whole breakdown on boxing,
right,
and how old style boxing was more like Conor McGregor. It was really interesting to me that Andrew Clavin asked him about what his thoughts on the Mayweather-McGregor, because I've watched Andrew Clavin for over a year.
Yeah.
He never talks about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was a behind-the-scenes setup.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so I'll throw this question out to Crowder, and he'll give us, you know, his fancy, and that's how he'll be able to advertise that he's going to be talking smack about Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? Whatever. But Crowder says something about Mayweather, and how Mayweather's approach, you know, how he would turn his back, and he's like, please let me strangle you, or some nonsense like that. As if Mayweather would use that approach knowing that he could be strangled.
Of course.
You see, so these guys are smart. I'm not saying that they're idiots. They're smart overall, but they're idiots when it comes to lack of understanding about Jeet Kune. And you can see, even when Clavin is doing, maybe it is a prearranged intro, you can still see that he's asking a question of someone who's a martial artist, to the best of his knowledge. And people to this day, they have replaced the word karate with the term mixed martial arts.
Yes.
But people still think that those of us who are deeply involved in martial art, that somehow we are involved in this weird, esoteric, oriental practice where we worship like these different gods or something. They don't understand martial arts.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And now even worse, more so, Jeet Kune.
Yeah.
Because Jeet Kune as mainstream, Jeet Kune is like the complete oxymoronic element. As popular as Bruce Lee is, right? As inspirational as Bruce Lee has been for millions of people. See, here's the thing, right? Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I can't think of anyone who was ever inspired by the Gracies and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to get involved in martial art.
Oh yeah, no.
They're inspired to get into BJJ.
BJJ, exactly.
Bruce Lee inspired generations
Yes.
to get into martial art, period.
Yes.
Right? Based on that, who the hell cares whether or not he competed in some
Cage.
in some karate tournament or what have you?
Right.
Right? Who cares? It's like, you know, your girlfriend, your wife, your significant other can't be hot. You know why? She never won a beauty pageant.
Right.
She never even entered a beauty pageant. So guess what? She can't be hot. She's never proven her hotness. So Bruce Lee can't fight because he never competed in a tournament.
That's a great analogy. That is so funny.
What? What? I don't know how to drive because I never competed in driving. I never raced cars. So that means I don't know how to drive fast.
Yeah.
Really?
That's
Really?
That's silly.
Really? I don't know how to drive fast. He ain't never, anyhow. All right? So, right, you get my point?
Yeah.
All right? Anyhow, we'll move on.
Yeah.
We'll move on from that. I
It is.
don't want, like I said, I don't want to give Steven Crowder, you know, too much publicity, but it's really disappointing.
You're right.
It's really disappointing. And when I do the video, I'll talk about Peter Boghossian also, because he did something similar, and I think he said something like he's got a black belt in stick and knife. What the hell is that? Right?
Guys, smash the laughing button. Smash the laughing button.
All right, and even if it is true that somebody awarded him a black belt in stick and knife,
Yeah.
I don't know who that could have been.
Yeah.
Because one, what the heck is stick and knife?
Right.
I assume he's referring to Filipino martial art.
Right.
Right? But, and I know that there are some methods out there that apply the black belt and what have you. Right? Okay? But we didn't intend to talk about this. We really intended to talk about Jeet Kune. But I didn't want this to
well,
bypass
anytime,
this.
yeah, I mean, it's silly. Anytime somebody's saying Bruce Lee can't fight, Bruce Lee didn't prove himself, I mean, that's just silly. It almost seemed like, it kind of seems just like a big marketing ploy. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's...
Well, I again, I don't know what Crowder's source material
Right.
is. But remember, we talked about Birth of a Dragon a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I had said on the I Love JKD page that that I didn't want to criticize it without seeing it.
Right.
So I was going to go watch it. And so I did post a couple of days ago that I scored a private screening, and
Because no one went?
Yeah, exactly.
terrible.
And somebody from the JKD group did announce that, and I just thought, see, that's so shameful,
Yeah.
somewhat, and so hurtful that nobody is interested in watching
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, something about Bruce Lee. But I think it's because these guys decided to fictionalize a real life event,
Yeah.
and put their own spin on it.
Yeah.
Right? It is not totally wasteful. You know, your time watching the movie. There is some philosophical things to it that I thought were interesting, and then I like. So I mean, within the realm of making a movie, right? The way that they treated the end results, whatever. But I think that this movie may have something to do with Crowder's whole, you know, I gotta debunk Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, the idea. Did I ever tell you this a story about Dana White?
No.
Okay. So see, Bruce Lee never called himself the father of mixed martial arts.
Right.
That quote is credited to Dana White. Now, Dana White is one of the smartest business people around town,
Yeah.
right? And so, of course, it makes sense whenever and wherever possible to align yourself with Bruce Lee. So if he claims Bruce Lee was the first person who mixed the styles, right? Then, okay, that works. And a lot of people will understand that.
Right.
Because a lot of people consider Jeet Kune Do to be a mix or a
Right.
combination of styles or a combination of arts,
Yeah.
right? No, it's never been. That was never the idea. That has never been the idea. Because if I take this
Well, yeah,
notebook,
so many people think that, though.
I take this mouse, I take this water bottle, I take these spectacles, I take this pen, and I take this external hard drive. Now I have combined all of these into my new style. It's a mess.
Exactly.
Right? At some point, here's what you got to do. Analyze. Oh, wait. This computer mouse is related and works in some form or fashion with this thing.
Yeah.
Okay? This and this, yeah, they kind of go together. Right? So it's not indiscriminately taking a bunch of things and jumbling them
Right.
up together, and you go, oh, that jumbled mess is Jeet Kune Do because you use no way as way and you have no limitation as limitation. You got to be smarter than that in Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
So you actually have to. So you get these seemingly disparate elements, like these things here.
Right.
And then you, with your intelligence, and then guided by the people who have come before you, like Bruce Lee, like Dan Inosanto, like Ted Wong, like Larry Hartsell, like, I mean, all the JKD notables, Taki Kimura, everybody, right? And then if you're able to learn from them or learn through them, right, then it filters down to you.
Yeah.
But you use your own God-given intelligence to make sense of this thing,
Yeah.
right? And another aspect to it is that Jeet Kune Do is not a finished product. So you can write a book, you can make a DVD series, you can lecture about it, you can make a documentary about it. The thing is that if I demonstrate the Jeet Kune Do jab, somebody somewhere is going to say, well, that looks like
The boxing job
boxing
or something.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is.
Yeah.
Because boxers punch.
Yeah.
Right? And Bruce Lee paraphrased the Zen saying that, a punch is just a punch. When you get to the level of ultimate realization, then a punch is just a punch, right?
Exactly.
And that, that's another really informative. I'm so pissed at Crowder.
Come on, Crowder! Come on, guys! Smash the likes button, smash the smiley faces or the hearts and the laughs. Make sure you share this video. We're trying to push this thing out. I love Jeet Kune, guys. Thank you so much. Let me know where you guys are from. Let us know where you're from.
Here's one for me, one of the more fascinating teachings, right? That comes from Bruce Lee. The idea of the levels of sophistication. So in the beginning, you have the primitive or the primordial stage, right? In which if I say, okay, I'm going to hit you in the head, defend yourself, right? Your hands come up, right? Then we go from that into the stage of sophistication, where now you learn the different ways to stop when somebody hits you in the head. And that's where you're in danger of becoming mechanically bound, which is when your style is the style.
The style, exactly.
You see?
Yeah.
And even worse, you can become intellectually bound. So Peter Boghossian, Mr. Critical Thinker,
That makes sense, yeah.
right, didn't realize while talking to Joe Rogan that he was being intellectually bound.
Right.
By referring to everything outside of jiu-jitsu as fantasy martial art.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
You see,
insane.
does it matter? Does it matter if the millions of people who practice Shotokan, look, I have no interest in practicing Shotokan anymore. I have no interest my interest in achieving high-level black belt status in Shotokan ended decades upon decades ago because I found Bruce Lee, right? All right, so I'm biased. But do you think that I now think, therefore, that the millions of people around the world who practice Shotokan are wasting their time? That's their choice.
Right. Exactly.
If you are a so-called critical thinker, you cannot see the truth of that because you're like, BJJ, rolling. Right? But now, of course, here's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to go, oh, well, that's because Dwight Woods can't do BJJ. Yeah. I am not known as anywhere near a high-level BJJ practitioner. Nowhere near high-level BJJ practitioner. But I'll tell you what I've done with BJJ. How does it work against you? And how do you defend against it?
Right.
See, because, again, if we talk about critical analysis aspect of Jeet Kune, so I think it's the Absorb What Is Useful book by Sifu and Asano. That's where there's a depiction, a JKD analysis, of if you go like this, you're wasting your time with this hand. If you block like this, and right? So what we did, or what was done in the early days of JKD, was to analyze the deficiencies in what was out there. So karate going like this, or going like this, or whatever, you analyze the deficiencies in all that stuff, and then you capitalize, right? So Wing Chun's idea of simultaneous parry and hit takes advantage of karate's structure of going like that.
Yeah.
So when you block like that, I parry and hit you. So it's Wing Chun's superiority over karate's block and hit structure. That is analysis.
Yeah.
Does that mean then that because I have come upon that realization. I walk around going, oh, Carlos, you know that karate that you do, that's a waste of time. You should really, you know, stop giving money to that teacher and whatever. Because now all of a sudden, what, I'm superior to you in some way?
Right, yeah.
Look, man, if you want to train Shotokan, more power to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You know, everybody's going to drink this brand of bottled water? No. Some people actually like Dasani. I don't know why, but some people do.
Some people do.
I tell you, I'm from Florida. Zephyr Hills is it.
That's
right?
it.
Zephyr Hills is it. I don't care what anybody says, right? Even though there are no hills in Florida.
Yeah.
Right? But so going back to the stages of sophistication.
Yeah.
So we have the primitive or primordial. Then we have sophistication, where you can become mechanically bound or intellectually bound.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the return to the original freedom, which is now the blend of primitive and sophistication. The blend of instinct and proper mechanics.
Right.
So now you just go.
Yeah.
You see?
That's like the highest level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about that the other day, because somebody had asked me about the ranking system.
Right.
They had asked me about ranking systems in Jeet Kune.
Are there ranking systems in Jeet Kune?
So, like many answers to many questions in Jeet Kune, yes and no.
Okay. Let's
Right?
dive into that.
Yeah, yes and no, because it depends on the approach that you want to use.
Right.
So, there are people, and I'll talk now about, let's say, instructors.
Right.
So, there are instructors who avoid any kind of ranking whatsoever. Okay? Then there are those who have adopted the traditional belt systems, even if they use a different version of the belt. Like maybe you use colored, I think it's called ikat, right, which is an Indonesian garment. Maybe they use a different colored ikat. Maybe they use kung fu sashes.
Right.
Maybe they use, I think Sifu Francis has a stylized kung fu belt. Right, which I think actually functions as a lower back supporter also, I think. But I'm not sure if he uses that through the ranks. He probably does. I think he does. But I know I've seen the black one at his school, right? But that's Wing Chun.
Yeah,
that's not Jitsu,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then there's what I did, which was to make use of terminology and, to a certain degree, color structure based on Bruce Lee's original colored ranking system.
So Bruce Lee did have a ranking system.
To the best of my knowledge, from what I've seen, yes.
Okay.
I have in my collection, there's a book that was published in England, right? Paul, I forget the name of the guy, but there was a guy who, I guess maybe he had the publishing rights to Bruce Lee materials. And I remember I got this book. You can find it. It's a white background with a colored picture of Bruce Lee bareback. The lettering is in black, and it has the JKD symbol, and I think it's on the back cover. There are these yin-yang symbols. And there's a white one, and a green one, and a blue one, and a purple one, and a gray one, and then the full colored or whatever. That is a depiction of an aspect of his, a version of his colored ranking system.
Wow.
Right? Now, I don't know how he used it, if he ever used it, or not.
Right.
I think we've talked about this before. There are pictures from the Seattle era with the guys in gung fu suits with the colored sash. So maybe but before the term Jeet Kune was coined.
Right.
My
It's
assumption,
beginning
therefore,
of his evolution, right there, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. See, so here could be your rationale. If a colored sash system worked for Bruce Lee at some point in his martial art evolution, then a follower of Bruce Lee's can rest assured that if a colored ranking system of some form is necessary at this stage of his evolution. So I'm not going to criticize anybody who chose to go the belt way.
Right.
That's not my way, but if it works for you, then fine.
Right.
Use it. You do what it takes, and we talk about this all the time. You do what it takes. Just be, just have integrity. Don't rip anybody off.
Right, of course,
Right.
yeah.
So,
Not like selling ranks. I think that's one of the controversies. A lot of people will think, JKD didn't have ranks. If you've got ranks, you're probably selling it to keep, they think of it almost more as like a business model.
well, here's the thing. If you and I sit down here and talk about Bruce Lee, somewhere out there, there's somebody who's, look at those two, trying to make money off of Bruce Lee.
Is that you?
Right? And, here's something that's not that well known. I actually happen to be a legitimate bloodline from Bruce Lee, right?
Who?
I'm kidding.
What? I was like, holy moly, guys. You heard it here first.
No, right? But wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool.
Right? So what they're gonna say is that these two idiots are trying to make money off of Bruce Lee.
Right.
Because we're simply sitting here and talking to the internet world about Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
So even to do that, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you and I were devout Christians,
yeah,
and we sat here and we talked to the internet world about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? We would be testifying.
Yeah.
And there would be nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It's amazing.
But we can't sit here and
Can't
testify
say,
about Bruce Lee.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I mean, right? I literally believe that my life would not have been what it is were it not for Bruce Lee.
Right.
So
I can agree.
I'm gonna sit and talk about him.
Yeah.
And which again is why I'm so pissed at Crowder.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that pisses me off as much or more is when people talk smack about Dan Inosanto.
Oh, that's crazy. There was
Right?
some dude on there too. I'm trying to remember his name. We're gonna be calling all of you guys out. Exposed on the I Love Jeet Kune page. Hey guys, smash the likes if you actually like this video. Make sure you're sharing it out. Even if you don't like it. Make sure you like the...
I don't want to give him any publicity, but his name is Freddie Lee.
Come on, Freddie.
Right.
Come on, Freddie. We might have to have Freddie on the show, and, let's see what happens. Let's bring the truth out.
He did a thing about receiving an email from Dan Inosanto. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Yeah. He did a thing about receiving an email from Dan Inosanto. Right? And here's the thing. I am pretty sure Dan Inosanto doesn't use email.
No.
Right? I'm pretty sure. Or if he does, he certainly will not send an email to Freddie Lee in Chicago that says, "Oh, Freddie Lee, you seem to still have a problem with me teaching Jeet Kune. If I don't teach it, how else are we going to get the word out and this and this and this?" Dan Inosanto has a problem with a guy named Freddie Lee?
Yeah, I don't think that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure that that's not how
it works.
That's not how it works, right? But yeah, he has a thing out there where he's talking nonsense. But Freddie's a special character.
Yeah.
Right? He's a different kind of guy. Again, he's he has a right to his opinion. He has a right to his thoughts about things and what have you. But that's what makes it so difficult. And that's why JKD people are a breed apart. True JKD people are a breed apart because for the most part, we think for ourselves.
Yeah. Exactly.
You see?
Yeah.
Now, we get criticized a lot for, there are even people, perhaps not defending Crowder, but if you look at the comments on the YouTube thing, there are people talking about the Bruce Lee fanboys, right? Okay, so you're always going to have detractors,
Right,
and
right.
what have you, right? But my gosh, my gosh, how can you not see? You have to really not be using critical analysis, right? Faculties to look at Bruce Lee and go, wow.
Yeah.
Look at how inspirational, instrumental, right, this guy has been.
Yeah.
And all just because he had drive.
Yeah.
All just because he had drive.
Yep.
Right? He never said, you know, Carlos, I'm the greatest fighter in the world.
Yeah.
He never said, you know, I'm the first person to mix the styles. Because Crowder.
Yeah.
Crowder goes on to point out, you guys should really take a look at the video. Crowder goes on to point out that before Bruce Lee, there was pancreation in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that Bruce Lee, a guy with over 2,000 books in his personal library, do you think that Bruce Lee was somehow unaware of pancreation? Stephen Crowder, do you think? I think he was. Right? So, this idea, but you know what he says also? He says something about, something like, I'll give credit that he did think about mixing the arts, but he never trained that way. That's what he says. He never trained that way.
That's crazy.
So I think that means that Bruce Lee, even in his primitive years, never mixed Wing Chun with Choi Le Foot. I think he never did. Wrong, Crowder. He did.
He did.
Right? Bruce Lee even trained judo in Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that in his drills, there's a lot of evidence.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee his style of kicking.
Yeah.
His style of kicking ultimately is not Wing Chun style of kicking,
Yeah.
so it had to have come from somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
right? We know that Jun Rhee was a friend. We know that Bruce Lee trained Choi Le Foot, for example, right? We know that Mike Stone, Joe Louis, Chuck Norris. Now, some people are too young to even recognize those names, but in the 1960s, Mike Stone, Joe Louis, and Chuck Norris were probably in the top 5, top 10, definitely, American karate fighters.
Wow. Yeah.
What do the three of them have in common? They give credit to Bruce Lee for upping their game. So, Stephen Crowder, let me ask you this directly. If the 3 top fighters in the American karate world give props to Bruce Lee for upping their game, is that not kind of like Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali giving props to their boxing coaches for upping their game, even if their boxing coaches were never fighters themselves? Critical thinking, Peter Boghossian, Stephen Crowder. Critical thinking.
Critical thinking, guys.
Just ask yourself that. Anyhow,
Before we even go, we have to wrap this up. Unfortunately, we've had so many people on here. Thank you so much for being on. Make sure you like, you hit the heart, you actually like the fan page, because we're going to keep doing these probably once a week, at least a couple times a month for sure. So make sure you stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much. Let us know where you're from in the comments. Make sure you smash the heart, smash the likes. Thank you so much, Sifu.
my pleasure.
Take care, guys.